Today I want to talk about Power BI dashboards. I want to make this video for users who are either new to using Power BI dashboards or who may have used them in the past but don't feel confident in their abilities to effectively understand what's going on. So here we can see I have a dashboard I made for a mock claims organization. So immediately we can see we have some charts, a table, a map, and a couple of tabs with additional information. So the information here, which is being captured, is claims data. So these claims are assigned to adjusters who do inspections and then return these assignments. And this first tab is for assignment volume. So probably the most important feature of Power BI is the ease of filterability. And you may have seen this where simply clicking an item will filter everything on the screen to that item, which is very useful. For example, we could see here that carrier B had the most assignments of this data set. So if we click the column for carrier B, now everything is filtered to illustrate carrier B's information. But I want to point out a couple of additional items. To start, we could see that although it's clear specifically what is coming from carrier B in these charts, we can still see a shaded area. This helps us understand not only what portion is due to carrier B, but also what picture they play of the whole. So down here we can see in May, it looks like carrier B made up roughly half of the assignments, maybe 40%. And that's a really useful tool when we're trying to see what piece a given element plays in the bigger picture. Now, if we want to clear a filter, we can just click it again. And there's other ways to filter, such as slicers. So if I wanted to filter to a specific county, maybe Escambia, now notice we don't have any shaded regions. This is because when we use a slicer, it's going to show us specifically that information. It's not going to give us that portion of the whole perspective. We're really telling Power BI, hey, I just care about Escambia right now. And if we want to clear this, we can either click it again, or there's a little eraser icon, which we can use. So another thing that's good to know with filtering is, so I can click to filter, just like if we have these pie charts. So we have how many of these assignments have been scheduled. If we click no, now we're seeing information about assignments which have not been scheduled. But maybe I want to see assignments which have not been scheduled, but they have been contacted. So I can hit Control and click, and now I'm seeing both of those filters applied, where it's not scheduled, but it has been contacted. And maybe I want to reach out to these people and say, hey, did you talk to somebody? Did you have to leave a voicemail? How come we don't have a scheduled inspection date? Another useful thing to know about filtering is we may either apply some filters and forget about them, or maybe for some reason the dashboard was saved with some filters applied. So if we opened this up or came into this dashboard and it looked like this, it's not entirely clear what has been selected just from looking at it. The first thing we could do is we could look at what filters are currently applied. So if we go to any visual, like I hovered over this table here, and I go over this little funnel icon, I can see these top two items are the selections I made. First one says included, no scheduled, and the second one included, yes contacted. So the portion that says included is really telling us that these were manually selected. But what is this third item? Returned is no. There are times that developers will implement filters to control what is being portrayed on a given page or a specific visual. And the reason we do that is because it's kind of tailoring the data that's flowing into that visual or page for the specific purpose that it's trying to serve. So this tab, action items, are claims that have something which needs to be done. And for sake of simplicity, in this data set, we can consider returned as completed. So when we see is returned is no, it's really just telling us it hasn't been completed. But if we wanted to get back to our original view, if we wanted to say, hey, how do I clear all of this, if I click again, well, we've switched to this filter, but we still have a filter applied, and we can click somewhere else and same thing. So this is a question I've received a lot, and we just click again on a filter that we've selected. So if we didn't know what was selected, we could just click any category and click it again, and we get back to our baseline. So the next thing I want to talk about pertains to exporting information. While we're on this page, this is, again, items that have something that needs to be done. So if I were a manager and maybe I manage territory 2, I could come into this page of the dashboard, select 2 for territory, and then I could take this little granular table, and there's a little ellipsis here, and we could click export data, and I could click export, and then I get an Excel workbook that I can send to my team and say, hey, I need you guys to look into these items, and please let me know by noon where you're at, where they stand. So it's a quick way that we can get the information we need, and if we need to share it with our team and maybe they don't have access to this dashboard, we can do so. The last thing I want to talk about is what is known as hierarchies. So that is a fancy way of saying that sometimes we have these layers in our data. And so time series charts display this pretty well. Currently, we can see we have May, June, and July. So this is claim volume for each of those months. To start, if we wanted to see claims that were received in July, we could just, again, simply click July. If we wanted to see by year, if we had, for example, more than 1 year, we could click this drill up feature, and it's going to go up a level of that hierarchy. So we had a month view, and we went up to year. You can also have quarter and day, and I'll show you that in just a second. But what are these other icons? These are different methods of drilling into these layers. So this is going to be the most common one that we want to use, and I'll show you what I mean. If we go down a layer and we go down again, we're going to go from month now to day. So we can see how that claim volume came in by the day. This is typically what we like to use when we want to go a little more granular. And if we go back up and we look at this one now, if we go down a layer with this, we see that this chart looks the same as it did before. So we may ask ourselves, what is the difference between these 2 down arrows and what I call the little tree roots arrows? If we go down again, we see now this looks different. It looks different because when we use this method of going down a layer, what we're doing is saying, hey, I want to go down a layer in this hierarchy, so from month down to day, but I don't care about what year it's in, and I don't care about what month it's in. This would be used if we wanted to see if there's any kind of patterns or seasonality on specific dates. So if we had multiple years of data, we could see seasonality, for example. If we had average claims received, we could look at what months seem to have higher average volume than others. Here, maybe we could look at, is there higher or lower volume at maybe the beginning of the month versus the end of the month. But again, typically we're going to use the tree roots. So the last one that I want to talk about here is the single down arrow. Now, if we click this, it doesn't look like it does anything, but that's because it doesn't automatically do something. It's giving us the ability to do something. So if we even hover it, it says drill mode is on. Click data point to drill. So what this is going to do is, remember when we clicked July before and it filtered all of the charts to July like this, but we still see the other months. If we use this drill feature and we click July, now you see we don't have that shaded region. We can actually see the daily volume for July, and it works kind of similar to a slicer, but then we have dug in a little deeper. So it helps us kind of explore that specific category. So those were a couple of things that I think if you play around with, they'll really improve how you analyze the information regarding your department or team. But if you have any questions, reach out to me on LinkedIn and I'd love to chat. Thanks.